We're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. Hi, welcome to the Wingmen Show. My name is Drew Brown. We hope to inspire, entertain, and learn something so we can all make this world a better place for our children. I'd like to introduce to you somebody who's my friend, my wingman, my main man, and I have a wingman watching my back, Dr. Paul Thompson. Hey, Paul, what's happening?
Oh, not much. Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Thompson, and you just heard from Mr. Drew Brown, Dark Gable. He's the American dream. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the pilot's pilot, the role model's role model, and most importantly, his royal fullness. How are you doing today, Mr. Dark Gable?
I'm doing great, and I'm glad I'm full of knowledge, Paul. I'm glad I'm full of knowledge. Well, we're going to have a great show right now. Check this out. Dr. Paul, what's up, brother?
Oh, not much. It's raining over here, but it's going to be a decent day in the afternoon. Other than that, it's okay.
It's slamming out here. My dog, Mickey, my older Great Dane, he was looking all over the house for me this morning because he doesn't like the thunder, and it was banging in here. It was banging. But anyway, I got a great wingman for you today, boy. And
really?
Matter of fact, it bumped your wingman. Remember, I called you last night and I said, hey, can we put this wingman in? And you said, I think that's a good idea. So I'm real excited about talking about this wingman that we have.
It's very timely.
Yeah, it epitomizes what we're trying to do in this show, make this world a little bit better for everybody. Peleton, how about this? So I was doing my Peleton all week, and I just thought somebody sent us, I think it was Brandon, a letter from Chelsea Jackson. Chelsea Jackson Roberts, my girl at Peleton. I did meditation to her this morning. I laid on my Shotki mat, you know, the ones with the sharp edges.
Beads.
I laid on that and did meditation to Chelsea Jackson. I want to give a shout out to her. I feel like I know her. I'm not lying.
Okay. Well,
and go ahead.
You know, I was going to say maybe we can, I don't know, we can get Chelsea on the show, or maybe she could make her presence known at some point.
She might give us a shout out at Peleton. That would be cool too.
Yeah, it would be. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be great. But, you know, with Peleton News, you know, their prices for their subscription monthly, which I think is way worth it, is going up a couple dollars. But the prices for the bikes and the treadmills and all their equipment is going down. So they're trying to revamp that at Peleton.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. That's good. I know they had the little stock problems recently, I guess, from the pre-pandemic, pandemic, post-pandemic. You know, but
sometimes, you know, if you believe in a company, this is the time to buy stock. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, you buy low, you sell high. We'll talk about the worst purchase I ever heard in my life later in the show. But for now, hey, I'd like to welcome all the new listeners. Thank you, old listeners, for staying with us. We love you guys. And if anybody could give us a review on Apple Podcast, both Dr. Paul and I would really appreciate that. And guess what? Starlink update. I just got an email from them. That part should be coming this week.
Okay, well, but good luck on that. Will that help with thunderstorms and bad weather?
You never know. You never know. I don't know what they're doing up there anymore.
Okay.
I'm not kidding. There's a lot of satellites. There's a lot of weather. You know, if we don't slow our roll, we're going to have more issues than that. But people who have issues is back in our hometown, that subway shooting. And I don't want to really bring that up bad. I mean, God bless, nobody died. I mean, this dude threw off 30 rounds. He put out smoke. It was like a movie. And that's what I was going to talk about, that these movies are so graphic. These people are starting to mimic movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we ever seen craziness like this before, but they're actually mimicking movies to put gas and all of that. And when I saw him, I just felt so bad. Right now he's going to the loony bin for the mental institution for the rest of his life. What's his case? What he did.
Yeah, and it's also indicative of the mental state of America. Again, young people, teenagers get blamed for a lot of stuff, and they do a lot of stuff. This guy was in his 60s. He was just a little bit younger than us. He was
Yeah, but you know what?
His 60s.
But we have this illness called mental illness.
Yes.
Nobody wants to talk about it. You know, we come from a nation of, you remember people would keep an uncle or something locked in the basement or in the back room and just feed them and not talk about it because they were embarrassed, like it was a reflection on them. A lot of that has happened and we need to bring it to light. How about this? And this is not good either, but the war. You know how we talked about the war? NATO. Now, NATO are all the countries in Europe and us that are together. And if they say if we attack one, we attack all. So that means all the nations you would be at war with. Well, Finland and Sweden, and Finland especially, has the longest border with Russia. And now they want to go into NATO, them and Sweden. And that means that we would have jets next to Russia, right on their border. And this is like taking it to the next level. And I heard yesterday that crazy man Putin, he actually said that if you give any more military to the Ukrainians, if we give any more military assistance, that there's going to be severe consequences. So now he's threatening, Dr. Paul.
Well, that's, I guess, to be expected. The thing is, you know, Finland, we'll talk about it later. I've been to Finland. You get the three Baltic countries. You got Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Finland being right next to Russia. The other two being close. If Sweden and Finland join, well, that's all three because Norway's been in with NATO. They were one of the original signatories of NATO. So that would put a lot of stuff against. Apparently, their militaries are very capable too. He said there's going to be consequences. Well, it's like right next to Russia. I can tell you to go from Helsinki to St. Petersburg, Russia, you can do that on a ferry, and I think it takes about 25 minutes.
Wow, like that's close.
Ferry. That's how close it is. I've never been there. Yeah, I was supposed to go there one time. They said it was too dangerous for us to go. So we went somewhere else.
Didn't you do simulate? I did a North Atlantic cruise, so I flew up there. I remember wearing wetsuits on the Nimitz that was so thick, I almost couldn't get my flight suit on, and you had to get it climbing the jet, and you strapped all in. And they said if you fell in the water, if you ejected and went in the water, you would last maybe 5 minutes with the wetsuit. So
the wetsuit.
I remember that. And there was some nasty water out there. There was some nasty landings sometimes out there. But anyway, that North Atlantic, didn't you do simulator training there?
Yeah. When I was training on the MD-11 airliner that very few people fly now, UPS and FedEx still fly them. Yeah, we did our simulators there, which was really an interesting experience. Most folks did their stuff in Memphis, but there were some folks that trained in Long Beach, California, Helsinki, Finland, and some in Zurich, Switzerland. They bought sim time everywhere. But we did ours in Helsinki. I think there were just like two groups that went there. It was interesting. It was interesting. I thought it was okay. I mean, it was kind of a grueling training environment. I'll put it that way at that time. That's a long story. But yeah.
Well, yeah, MD-11 training was horrendous. We thought, you know.
Yeah, at that time, yeah, everybody should. I think everybody who survived it should have like a patch. You know, I survived MD-11 training in the mid '90s.
No doubt about it.
Everybody really should. I think it's a lot better now, but at that time it was kind of the Wild West of flight training. I'll just put it that way.
Those simulators, you know, I did my training in simulators also. They're so realistic. I actually got my type rating for the 777 in the simulator. You know, I didn't even fly an airplane until I was type rated. And it was exactly the same thing. I remember bringing Katrina once into the simulator. You fly all over the world, whatever airport in the world, you got cars driving by, people waving. It's crazy. And it's so realistic. And you can crash too. Yeah.
And the MD-11, that was, I got typed in that simulator also. They had one. It was with Finnair Airlines. Finnair. They had MD-11s, and they just had one simulator. And their pilots used it. We used it, and a group from Brazil was using it. It varied, so they rented it out. People rent out simulator time.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of money in that. But they're so realistic. You know, I forgot to say this about the war, Dr. Paul, and we both are animal lovers. The Ukrainians who have gotten to Mexico and have brought in their dogs with them have found out that they cannot bring their dogs into America. And they're freaking out at the border. And I asked you this the other day. Remember when you had Spot X? What happens if your family was at the border, but they say, sorry, you got to leave Spot X? What would you do? Because I wouldn't leave my Danes. We'd just be Mexican, I guess.
Yeah.
Start learning Spanish.
Dogs to be speaking Spanish or barking Spanish.
Yeah.
That's kind of rough. I'm wondering, I guess, but they let him in Mexico, obviously. Like, how did they get there?
Mexico, well, they had all their shots. They had all their vaccination. They had all their papers. But Ukraine is one of the 50 countries that have high rabies, and they're on a list in America of countries that animals can't come from. And Ukraine happens to be one of those countries.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, but, you know, we kept reading also, because I'm not going. I mean, I would have to talk to somebody else. What happens is there are a bunch of dog lovers in America and California that found out about it, and they go into Mexico, get the dogs, and bring them back as Americans because the Mexicans don't have that stringent of a rule. And these dogs have papers. So that's how they get, and they meet them the next day or something. So it wound up pretty good. It wasn't so bad. Bad news about this quarterback, Dwayne Haskins. He was Ohio State freshman, I think, and he played in these championship games, and he was the bomb at Ohio State. He went in the NFL, and tragically, he died on a highway, walking on a highway. And both you and I both have highway stories, but what do you think about that? He was in the prime of his life, 26 years old.
Yeah, is he 26 or 24? I think he's younger than that.
Oh, wow.
Just a young guy, and I think he was supposed to be the head quarterback of the Steelers. And he's wandering around. I guess it's near the Fort Lauderdale airport. And they say it's just a busy area with trucks and cars. And, you know, I can see if you broke down on the road, but, you know, crossing a highway is not a good idea. I don't care how fast you are.
But remember, what else did they say in that story, though?
Was he behaving?
Remember, they were talking about the criticism that he's received on social media. And then they started saying how insensitive it was. And you never know what goes through these athletes' mind. You know, people think that money and fame are so great. You know, every individual is not built to handle some of that and being criticized. Like if you play in New York, you might as well forget it. Don't even strike out, because the Post will have you upside down talking about your mother, and you won't know what to do.
Yeah, you'll be the worst person that ever existed on the earth.
Correct. And this could be part of the problem. You know, my story is that in Ali's training camp, we used to go up there and fighters would run on that highway. And there was this world champion. I don't remember his name, but he was maybe fighting for the championship. Anyway, he got hit by a truck running on the highway. And it was very tragic. There are a lot of people who die on the highway running or biking, and these big trucks, and they don't have proper lights. I saw a biker the other day, didn't have any lights on. No kidding. I mean, he could have easily been dead. Easily.
It was just a bike or a motorcycle?
A bike.
Just regular bike at night?
Yes. It was horrible. But didn't you have a story about the highway?
Yeah, well, you know, I've a couple of things. A couple of things happened. One happened a few years ago, the other a couple of weeks ago. But the first one was I almost hit a guy on Interstate 75 one night, going into work, going into jump seat, and it's probably about 6:05 a.m. or 6:10 a.m. And it's just starting to get a little bit light, and I'm, you know, rolling down at about 75 miles an hour. And I kind of see something skirt in front of me. Didn't know if it was an animal or something. I just kind of moved to the left just a little bit. It was kind of getting out of the way. And I saw it was a guy in a white shirt. And he had obviously come across the interstate. He crossed several lanes of traffic. And I said, how's it going? It's 6 and what are you doing? What do you do? I barely saw him. I saw him after the fact. He was getting out of the way. And you got people who do dumb things. I can give you another story. It's a highway story, and this was a few years ago. And sometimes we get too wrapped up in technology and lose common sense. But I'm going down on an almost major highway, not too far from where I live, and I see this person all of a sudden walks in front of the car. I'm driving an SUV. It walks in front of the car. I bring it to a stop, and I stop about 10 feet away, just sudden stop. And my wife says something to the person, you need to get out of the street. And this person pulls out an ear pod or whatever and curses at us, says, you're supposed to stop. Yeah, we almost killed her. But to get to our position, she had to cross like 5 lanes of traffic. But she had her headphones on, just listening, walking in the middle of the median. So sometimes our folks, young folks particularly, are so tuned into technology that common sense is gone.
Oh, they have those videos all the time of texting and walking and falling into pools or into traps or whatever. Hey, combine that with these angry drivers. There are a lot of shootings, I'm sorry to say, in Texas. They said that gun control is out of control. They're selling more guns than ever. And now the highways are being dangerous because, that angry driver thing. I have an angry driver story, but it was me. It was on my wedding day. Let's see what year that was. I don't know, 1977. And my father rented a car for us. It was a black Thunderbird. Lori and I were getting on the highway, and I must have cut somebody off by mistake. And this guy pulls up next to me and pulls out a 44 Magnum. And the reason I know that is because I saw the hole in it. And it was like such an amazing moment. And crazy ass Drew, what I did was start to chase him. And I must have chased him for at least 7-8 minutes. And he must have been scared shitless, thinking, damn, if I got this, what has he got? But it was so crazy. It made me that furious, which I am totally wrong 100% for. But it made me that mad. So I don't have that much anger on the road anymore. I drive slow. I don't really care anymore. And I listen to music or comedy. So I'm done with that. The only thing is, if you give me the finger, I do react kind of. There's something with me. If you curse me out, I just keep on moving. But
yeah, well, you were talking about people looking at too many movies and things like that. I have seen a lot of just crazy driver stuff. Not during the pandemic, but when people started to come back on the road, they're driving angry. But it looks like they're trying to be in the Fast and Furious, because a lot of things involve Dodge Chargers. And, they'll come up behind you at 200 miles an hour and just get out of the way at the last minute, then cut in front of you, do something crazy, cover all lanes of traffic. Sometimes I'm only going like a couple of exits, and just like they're doing a Blue Angel show right on the highway. I expect them to go inverted and drop the landing gear and the hook, and all they need is the announcer. And
Fast and Furious.
This crazy stuff. Even when I went to a funeral of an old friend not long ago, and I got to the airport, rented a car, decided to go somewhere to get some ice cream, and I'm on the highway for like not more than 30 seconds, and this car comes behind me. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, nice day. This thing just barreling down on me. I see it in the rear view mirror, cuts across, cuts in front, goes all lanes, and then comes off right in front of me, right at 90 degrees, and comes off. And I thought to myself, they followed me all the way from Atlanta. They must have left early. Or maybe they were on the airplane and they rented, it's craziness everywhere.
Viewers out there, you need to watch us on YouTube, because if you just saw what Dr. Paul did with his hands, it's what pilots do when they fight, when they show fighting moves. They kind of move their hands in and out. That was a great move there.
I should have some training aids. We should get some little airplanes with sticks on them.
Yeah, that looked great. These crazy drivers.
Yeah.
I have a PSA. How about that?
Yes.
We have a Wingmen PSA. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. stay away from negative people. They have a problem from every solution. That's from Albert Einstein. That's a Wingman PSA. And
Yes,
if that ain't true, I don't know what is. There are just some people you cannot make happy.
True.
Make sure that you're happy. Control yourself.
That's true.
This is your life, your destiny. But if you try to control other people, and they're just some people who are negative nannies, they're negative junkies. They just look for problems, look for issues.
Right.
I'm just the opposite right now. You know that?
Yeah.
Tiger Woods. How about Tiger? Tiger came back and played in the Masters. He came in 47, but God bless that boy. He came in.
He survived. I mean,
and
he walked the course. He was able to walk. That's amazing. He could even walk.
100%. You said it last show, and I got to give you credit for that. The technology, the medical technology in that is incredible. I mean, his rehab is incredible. The whole thing is incredible. A lot of work on both sides of that. But there is two sides. And I got to give out shout outs for my son and my daughter for medical and law always. So anyway, who won that? That guy named Scotty Scheffler. He won the Masters by a lot too.
Yeah, I think he's a young guy. I think he's a new one. I hadn't heard the name before.
Yes. You know where I was a couple of nights ago? I went to see the Atlanta Hawks. They're my number 2 team. I'm a Knicks fan through and through, but why not have a number 2 team? And anyway, they were in the play-ins and they won. It was a great, great game. I had a lot of fun. I'll show some pictures, actually, if you watch it on YouTube, and you'll see the pictures that I took at the game. But it was a great game. And then last night they won again. So we're in the NBA playoffs, man. And this is the first time LeBron James is not there. And I heard a rumor that he may want to get traded to the Golden State Warriors. As crazy as that sounds.
It's crazy. So the Lakers are kind of old and they're watching the games like we are, I guess.
Yeah, well, Lakers have a history. The Knicks used to have a history, but the Lakers in Boston, the Knicks used to not play losing, but I guess we've lost for so long, we're getting used to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
How about this COVID? COVID's coming back. The BA12, the New York mayor was infected. Pelosi was infected. They had this big party in D.C. So many people got infected. And then I just heard, what do you think about this? They got a new test now, a breathalyzer, and it's like 90% effective or something. All you got to do is breathe into it like a DUI and it'll tell you if you had COVID or not. What do you think about this COVID coming back? Because are you going to get this next booster? Because it's available now.
Yeah, probably will. I haven't collapsed from the previous stuff, so why not? That's my attitude. I may just wait a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I still have a mask with me. I don't always put it on. If it's tight quarters, yes, I will. If it's a big place, sometimes I've become a little lax on it. And like a lot of people around here, they're super lax. So I see a mixture of people. I say maybe 10% have it on all the time. It's nice not to have it. I don't really care to wear it, but I'm practical too. So it's not gone away totally. So
I think Philadelphia just brought the mandate back. The airlines are going to continue the mandate. If it gets any worse, they're going to bring back masks, the mandates.
Yeah, I think so. So I think eventually you'll see one time the flu shot and the COVID shot will be one shot.
You want to know something? That's an excellent way to look at it. And I was explained that same theory, and it made a lot of sense. What's going to happen is just like the flu, like right now, you could get the flu, but you don't walk around with a mask. You get a shot for it. And if you get it, the problems are not as bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you live with it. So I think we're going to have to put COVID in that category, knowing that if you don't get the shot, you could die from it. So therefore, I'll get the next shot. But I'm not in a rush to do it either. They've actually started becoming very confusing. And I was on the side of the CDC for so long. And now with the back and forth, nobody's being just, is there a COVID out there? Are people not wearing masks at all these games and not getting sick? So,
I was going to ask you now at the game, were people wearing masks in the stands?
I think I saw 6 masks out of 20,000 people.
Okay.
All the workers had masks, and half of them were just down by their lips.
So effectiveness is decreased by about 80%. That's,
Yes,
okay.
it doesn't come out of their nose. What about your boy Elon Musk? This dude is so rich. I mean, he wants to not only take over the internet of the world, but now he wants to take over communications. He's now trying to buy Twitter. I mean, it went from him buying 9% to him wanting to be on the board, to him wanting to be off the board, to now him wanting to do a takeover.
Well, he wants to take over. They don't want him to take it over. So they're really, I don't know if they've done it, but they're going to do like a poison pill defense. You ever heard that term?
Yeah, I read about it. Why don't you explain that poison pill?
Well, it's when some
Putin gives to people that don't like him.
Yeah. People don't like him. But basically, it's when someone tries, a person or a group tries to take over a company by buying the stock. The board of directors, if it's in their charter, they can actually authorize the issuance of more stock. So if this person buying up a certain amount, he won't have that high percentage. And they can offer more stock, but they can offer it to certain people at a lower price. So they can put all the stock at, hey, buy all the stock, it's going to be a lower price, and they can do that. But the person who they're trying to prevent can't buy that stock, generally speaking. Certain people can buy it. The guy trying to do it can't do it. So that's a way to kind of prevent it. So it makes it, if you want to do it, it's going to cost them a whole lot more. And you have to decide if it's worth it or not. There's a guy named Carl Icahn who's known for a lot of takeovers.
Corporate raider.
Like yeah, big corporate raider. And that has blocked him a few times. So yeah, you can do it, but it's going to cost you a lot more.
My son-in-law, Nick, told me to watch an HBO special on him. It was very interesting.
Really? Okay.
Yes, it was really very interesting.
Another guy from Queens.
You know this Twitter thing, though? Do you remember in the beginning of the show, I told you the worst investment I ever heard of? Well,
Yes.
The first tweet given out by Jack Dorsey, it went on sale for $48 million. It finally sold for $3 million. And now you can buy it for $280. How about that? And it's probably you're going to get beat at $280.
Yeah. Okay. That's when you have like, for any of the figures you mentioned, other than the last 280, that's when you got like a lot of money, and you're bored. I still don't understand. You're going to pay $48 million for a tweet. I mean, is it like something you put in a case?
I don't know, but they buy $10 million virtual pictures.
The virtual pictures. Okay.
So people with money, they have nothing else to do. I don't know what to say. You want to know something? The new financial freedom, the new freedom is financial freedom. Mm-hmm. For all the listeners out there in HBCUs, for all the listeners out there who are kind of struggling, learn how to make money with money. Learn what the stock market's about. There is a way to do it. And financial freedom means that most of these problems we're hearing about, you're kind of shielded from them. Like all the economic sanctions we're putting on Putin, it doesn't bother him. He still gets tea and vodka at the exact same time. Nothing changes in his life. So financial freedom, everybody out there. And I want to tell you about my wingman, Dr. Paul. This wingman is an idol of mine. And until I did some research, I didn't realize all these other things he was. But yesterday was 75 years, an anniversary of Jackie Robinson making it to the major leagues. Now, the first thing I want to say about Jackie Robinson, do you realize he wasn't the best black baseball player in the Negro leagues?
Yes, that's been pretty well established.
Josh Gibson was way better than Jackie. But Josh Gibson didn't have the attitude to make it, because if you called him a nigger, he'd hit you in the head with the bat, period, done. Mm-hmm. Funny thing is, when you call Jackie Robinson a nigger, he hit a double. Mm-hmm. You call him a nigger on first, he stole to second. He stole and hit so many times, the managers of these white clubs were telling their players, shut up, don't say shit to him. Do not talk to Jackie Robinson. Because it seems like every time they said something negative, it motivated him to get a base hit or steal a base or a great play.
Yeah, he was an exceptional athlete because he was skilled in other sports.
He went to I didn't know this. He went to UCLA. He lettered in baseball, basketball, football, and track. And in high school, how about this? He won the Negro Tennis League.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he was an exceptional athlete, but he had the attitude, he had the spirit of somebody who broke into something. I just, every ball player since 2009 on April 15th wears number 42. And I don't wear people's jerseys. I don't wear people's names on my back other than my name. My kids, I'll wear their jerseys. I wear 2 baseball players, but one because I love them, Mickey Mantle, but the other one because he is my idol, and that's Jackie Robinson. I will wear number 42 on my back and be proud to do that. What do you think about Jackie, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, do you know he was a couple of things to know about him, that he was a vice president of the Chock full of Nuts Corporation. That was a coffee thing. I never drink coffee, but he was like one of the first black executives.
Full of nuts is that heavenly coffee. I thought that was a New York coffee.
You're right. I hadn't, not the greatest singing in the world there, but I do remember that.
It was good enough for you to remember.
Good enough. Also, he was the co-founder of something called Freedom National Bank, which was a bank founded by him and a guy named James Hudgens, the grandfather. I went to high school with the grandson of Hudgens, and strangely enough, I actually owned 5 shares of Freedom National Bank. It went under, but I remember my father bought 5 shares for me and my mother. And he was just so proud that something like that was even possible. I didn't even know what stock was. I remember as a child. I got him around somewhere. Freedom National Bank. Look it up. Yeah, Freedom National Bank.
Well, this is not Black history. You're being silent. This is history. This is history, damn it. This is what you teach everybody. If we stop dividing, maybe we'll get together. And you notice, I'll tell you what, they used to have problems in Ukraine against different people. They don't have any more problems. They're all Ukrainians now. We don't need to get to that point. Trust me, there were different people in Ukraine, like they like this, different sectors, the whole thing, towns, no more. They're all Ukrainians. We need to start being all Americans. And then one day start all being humans.
Yeah, I remember it was some kind of a political thing, but it was a tagline that said, when people lack vision, they just think of division.
Hey, people need somebody to hate. It's a human instinct. The problem is we put that kind of hate into baseball teams or basketball, the Celtics or something like that. We don't do it into people because we're smart enough. I mean, just realize this. One race of people called the human race.
Right. Yeah,
I don't even know where they came up with that other word, because in order to have different races of people, you have to have a distinguished difference. That means you can't mate. That means you don't think alike. We are exactly all the same. The only thing we have are different histories. We have different things that we learned. I learned from Jewish. I learned from Black. So I'm multicultural, no multiracial. And I wish people who have children that are from Black and white stop calling their kids multiracial. They're multicultural, period. There's no multiracial.
Would be interesting if my thought is if space aliens ever come down.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, yeah, if they come, they need to land during the Super Bowl at the beginning of the third quarter. That's what
right after the halftime.
Yeah, right after the halftime show. If it's a good halftime show, don't mess that up. But I think that group would be the most effective at spreading that message. But
that's my analogy. You'd be looking for somebody with 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, period. Right. There would be that is your division now. All right, everybody. We love y'all. Great show, Paul.
Yeah, great show. Everyone take it easy. Keep yourself happy, healthy, and safe. And we'll see you next week.
And pray for peace. Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time. And that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too, Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all men and women.